A very good afternoon to you and welcome to the Wednesday edition of SA Today on the SABC News channel, independent and impartial. We're coming to you live from our studios in Nasrec in Johannesburg. My name is Balesa Chubisi. Let us just get straight into our top story for this hour. The High Court in Pretoria has set aside a decision by the Gauteng provincial government to place the City of Tshwane Metro under administration. The High Court has ruled that the decision was invalid and should be set aside and reviewed. Gauteng Premier David Makhura last month placed the Metro under administration, citing lack of political will to run the city as well as failing to render the necessary services to the people of Tshwane. For more on this, now let us get some analysis from political analyst Professor Dirk Kotze, who joins us now live via Skype. Prof, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on the SABC News channel. Now, let's just get your take, really. What do you make of the latest developments? Because our understanding is that the control of the Tshwane Metro now returns to the Democratic Alliance.
Well, it's going to return to them once the lockdown has been lifted to the degree that the council can meet again. So for the next number of days, 2 or 3 days still, it will continue as it is. But thereafter, they will be able to reconvene if under the stage 4 it will be possible. So that is the immediate outcome of this court judgment. Therefore, the administrator who was appointed and his team will therefore have to withdraw from the situation.
But what's this entire court ruling saying about the way the Gauteng provincial government handled this City of Tshwane matter? Because you'd recall that last year, Dr. MEC Lebogang Maile also rescinded his decision to suspend Councillor, the Speaker, as well as the Mayor. So now you have the court overruling their decision. What's this saying about the way the matter has been handled by the provincial government?
Well, the court judgment was very critical of the provincial government and especially the Executive Council and the MEC more specifically, as well as the Premier, incidentally. What they are saying is that they didn't apply the provisions of the Municipal Systems Act and specifically the Code of Conduct that is applicable to the councillors, because the conclusion of the court is that they couldn't prove, the province couldn't prove that the government of Tshwane could not exercise their executive obligations. The province argued that there were some problems with some contracts as well as the water provision in Hammanskraal and several other factors. That didn't convince the court. The court also did not accept the fact that the focus was mainly on the Speaker and not the councillors of the whole council. So that means not only the DA councillors, but the ANC and the EFF councillors also. The court said that there should have been intervention by the province in order to make sure that all the councillors, and that includes of all the parties, had to attend the meetings and should not be allowed to walk out, and therefore made it impossible to constitute a quorum. And therefore the court by implication is saying that the province must go back and implement those in order to make sure that there's more orderly meetings so that they can take decisions there.
But how do you think this judgment will impact on the delivery of services in the City of Tshwane? I mean, we've heard the provincial government in Gauteng basically saying that all the decisions that they're taking regarding the City of Tshwane were in the best interests of the people of Tshwane in terms of getting their services. How will it impact on service delivery really, more so in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic?
Well, I don't think the main issue is service delivery, and I think that was the essence of the court judgment. If we look at service delivery, that has continued, irrespective of actually who's in the position of mayor as well as the city manager or the members of the Tshwane Council. What is the essence of the problem, and the court to a large extent agreed with that, is a political problem, and that is that the parties amongst themselves couldn't find themselves in order to establish a majority in the council so that they could take decisions. And the court was very critical of that, and that is why they insist that the code of conduct must be properly implemented. So in the first instance, it is not a question about services. No, I'm living here in Tshwane, and we receive all our services to a large extent, even under the current conditions. In that sense, it is not a crisis of service delivery as such, but rather a political crisis.
All right, so you talk about the political indifferences, and it actually brings me to my next question as to, will the Democratic Alliance be able to run this metro without any glitches going forward? I mean, we've seen the party itself struggling to maintain productive relationships within the committee. This was towards the end of their tenure as the ruling party in that city.
The challenge for all three political parties is that none of them have a majority. Neither the DA with its coalition partners can form a majority, nor the ANC with any support can form a majority. The party that's really in the critical position is the EFF. And that is the challenge therefore, of all three of the main parties, is that they must come to an agreement where either the ANC and the EFF can work together, or the DA and the EFF can work together. And I think this is the message that has come out of this court judgment, is that it is bringing back the situation to its very essence, and that is that the political differences will have to be set aside for the bigger interest of Tshwane as a metropolitan area, in order to be able to have a functioning government again.
All right, so but will that happen? Will the political parties and coalition be able to put aside their differences for the benefits of the people of Tshwane? I mean, we've received the statement from the Gauteng provincial government, who indicate that they have noted the judgment of the North Gauteng High Court, but then the legal team will study the judgment and decide on appropriate steps to take going forward. What is likely to happen going forward?
Well, I think on the one hand, those who lost this court case will most possibly think about or consider the possibility of an appeal. What is important about this court judgment is that it was a full bench of three judges, including the judge president of the Northern Gauteng division. So it is very difficult, will be very difficult to actually challenge this court judgment. And I think, therefore, to a large extent, the three main parties will have to go back to the drawing board and decide, what is their way forward. I think we have to remind ourselves that we are not very far from next year's local government election. So what is currently happening here will definitely have an impact, I would say, on the judgment next year by the voters in that election. So there is a lot of motivation for the parties now to say, well, we couldn't do it by these means. We have to reconsider our positions, and the best for everyone will, according to my understanding, will be that they will have to cooperate.
All right, Prof, time constraints, that's where we'll leave it for now. Thank you so much for coming through. Professor Dirk Kotze is a political analyst, giving his views on the latest, the High Court, of course, ruling that the decision by the Gauteng provincial government to put the City of Tshwane under administration has been declared invalid.